Rita.
Samhita Devi, Elizabeth is here. Magandang studio.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Pranam, 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 Shila Maharaj. Muy buenos días, Maharaj. Tiene el micrófono apagado, Maharaj.
Bueno, digo, Praneshwari Dandavats, muy buenos días. Acharya Ratna Prabhu Dandavats, buenos días. Rasambrita Dandavats, buenos días, allá en Nueva Jersey. Rasa Raj Prabhu Dandavats, allá en Nueva York. Lalit Krishna Prabhu. Lalit Krishna, ¿dónde está Lalit Krishna? Ah, muy bien. Jai Vardhan Prabhu Dandavat, allá en Singapur, Dandavat. Lalit Krishna Prabhu. Where is Lalit Krishna? Jai Nimai Prabhu Dandavat. Krishnendrani Devidasi. Krishnendrani Dasi. Y también Dandavas para Mathuranath Prabhu, allá en Rusia o en Ucrania, no sé, ya no me recuerdo. Sadhu Maharaj, Dandavat, Sadhu Maharaj. Mathuranath, Dandavat. Where are you, Mathuranath? In which place? Russia, Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in Ukraine, Edinburgh, okay. Edinburgh, okay. All right. Kagdila. Хорошо, okay. Muy bien. Amalendu Prabhu Dandavat. And Dandavat, Amalendu. Happy to see you.
My humble obeisance.
Then we have Krishnendrani Dasi and Sadhu Maharaj. And in Veracruz, Ambika Devidasi. Also we have Sulalita.
Dandavat Gurudev, Ambika Devidasi, Dandavat a todos los devotos.
Dandavat. She's sending obeisances to all the devotees. Dandavat. ¿Quién habla? Sulalita, Dandavat.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat. Sulalita, where is Sulalita?
I am from Turkey, Maharaj.
From Turkey, okay. And also we are seeing Ishani Dasi.
Dandavat Darshan Maharaj.
Philippines.
Dandavat.
Dandavat. Yananta Govinda Prabhu. And Krishna
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj, nice to see you.
Lalit Krishna, Dandavat.
Dandavat, gracias Maharaj.
¿Dónde está Lalit Krishna?
En Mendoza, Argentina.
En Mendoza, Argentina, ok.
Cerca de Chile.
Sí, cerca de Chile, pasando por del otro lado de los Andes, ¿no?
Sí, exactamente.
Ok. Muy bien. ¿Usted sabe inglés, Lalit?
Muy poco, Maharaj.
Okay. Lalit Krishna is from Argentina, and he's in a city called Mendoza. We have one devotee from Argentina, Majeshwari, a young girl, Kalachan's wife. Tenemos a una devota de Argentina, la esposa de Kalachan, y él vive allá ella es de allá no sé si de Mendoza o de Córdoba, pero Mendoza sí me dice que es una ciudad que está cerca de Chile, que está al otro lado Yo creo que esa es la ciudad donde es ella. Ahorita está
Sí,
acá en
yo
México, está en Playa del Carmen, en la Ribera Maya, pero muy bien. Decía algo, perdón, lo interrumpí.
Sí, creo que es ella y que es de acá de Mendoza. Recientemente yo me contacté con ella, harán aproximadamente unos 3 meses,
Recording in
y estaba
progress.
acá en Luján de Cuyo, un departamento cerca de acá de Mendoza.
Muy bien.
Sí.
Bueno, pues un gusto conocerle, Lalita Krishna Prabhu. Qué bueno que está aquí en la transmisión. Y seguimos viendo a los devotos. Ananta Govinda, ya los saludamos. Hridai Krishna Prabhu, estamos platicando. We were talking with him a little bit before the meeting. To him, Lakshmi Rani, and the boys there at home. Sulalita nos dijo que es from Turkey. Sulalita.
Yes, Maharaj. Dandavat.
Dandavas. And originally, Sulalita is from where? From there, from Turkey?
Yes, from Turkey, Maharaj.
All right, okay. Well, very happy to have you here in the transmission, in the meeting, today's meeting. Rasambrita Devidasi also, we saw her. Lalit Krishna already. Krishnendrani Dasi. Krishnendrani is from where? Praneshwari.
From Turkey, Maharaj. Her
Okay.
microphone is not working.
Okay. Okay. From Turkey. Okay. Then we have Sadhu Maharaj and Sadhu Maharaj Dandavat and Pitambar Prabhu. There in Guadalajara. Rasamoy Prabhu also from Morelia. Navakishori Devidasi, Venezuela. Navakishori.
Dandava Maharaj de Venezuela.
Okay, Navakishori Dandavats.
Dandava, mi reverencia.
¿Dónde se encuentran? ¿En Paramacaruna, en el templo, o en alguna otra ciudad, en Caracas? ¿Dónde se encuentran?
Yo estoy en Caracas, no he tenido oportunidad de ir al templo porque, bueno, cuido a mis padres que están ya viejitos, entonces con Alzheimer, y se me ha complicado ir al templo.
¿Qué edad tienen ellos ya, Navakishori?
Bueno, no sé si por ahí lo ven, 85 años con Alzheimer, mi viejito, y bueno, 75 mi madre.
Ok, bueno, qué bueno. Muy
Por ahí lo
ejemplar,
ven.
¿verdad? De los hijos. Que los hijos tengan cuidado y atención de sus papás. ¿Quién está ahí?
Ese es mi papá.
Un saludo para él. ¿Cómo se llama él?
Víctor,
señor Víctor, un saludo.
saludos, papá. Gracias,
Dandavas, no, aquí yo. Han de estar muy contentos por su hija. Dandavat Sadhu Maharaj, Dandavat.
Perdón que no saludé antes, estaba el teléfono.
No, seguro. Dandavat Maharaj. ¿Cómo está todo por allá en Paramacaruna?
Muy bien, poco a poco avanzando en la construcción.
La reconstrucción.
Sí.
Ratanava Prabhu. También aquí.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Dandavas Ratanava Prabhu. Where are you?
Where am I? At home.
At home, but which place, excuse me? Ratanava.
In the Philippines, in Shilabhakti Yomaracharna's center.
Okay, Ratanava. Ratanava is related with Ishwari?
Hello, Ishani Didi Maharaj.
Shani.
He is my husband.
All right.
Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah, from the
Very
Philippines.
Good, very good. All right.
It's not
Okay.
Philippine branch, Maharaj.
Yes. We always see you both there in the meeting.
Yeah, but
always.
this time, Maharaj, I was in Manila, the main city in the Philippines. So I'm buying some spices here in Manila.
All right. And usually your home is located where?
In the province of somewhere province in the Philippines, in Bulacan, Maharaj. We call that Bulacan.
Bulacan.
Bulacan, Maharaj.
Bulacan. Okay.
Bulazak. Bulacan. Bulacan, yes, Maharaj.
Bulacan. Okay. And right now you are in Manila. That's why you
Yes,
are in
Maharaj.
different monitor.
Yeah.
Okay. Ishani, all right. We have Hirisha Shakti also, and Srivas, and Nayana Sundari there in Veracruz. Aisha Shakti, and Madhuchanda Devidasi in Veracruz.
Dandavat Maharaj. Dandavat.
Dandavat
Maharaj.
Dandavat. Isha Shakti en México, está en México, es la Isha Shakti que conocemos en México. La ciudad
Sí, Maharaj, Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Dandavat a todos los devotos.
Yes.
Dandavat.
They live in Mexico City with her husband Atula Krishna and two of his children, Pradyumna Prabhu and Karuna Moy Prabhu. And another girl, they have, their daughter is living, at present she is in Canada. ¿En qué ciudad en Canadá, Isha Shakti?
En Toronto, Maharaj.
In Toronto, Canada, all right. And also we are seeing Mahalakshmi Dandavat. There
Dandavat Maharaj.
in Singapore, she and Ravindra Krishna. We got your pictures, the pictures you sent us from the last festival.
Yesterday, Maharaj, yesterday.
Yesterday, all right. Yesterday, pictures we already received, and very happy.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Very
Bless us, Maharaj. Please bless us.
Well, you also bless myself, bless all the devotees, the blessings of the devotees.
Yes.
Of course. Then Ananga Krishna Das from Tijuana, Ananga Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavat Maharaj, buenos días.
Ananda Rupa.
Sí, aquí estamos. Aquí estamos Ananda Rupa y yo. Su Devi sigue dormida.
Ok, está bien. No, hay que levantarla, hay que mantener la tranquilidad en la casa.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Exacto.
Dandavat, Ananda Rupa, Dandavat.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Also,
Dandavat,
in Muki,
Gurudev. Qué gusto
Dandavat.
verlo.
Ananda Rupa, Dandavat.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Happy to see all the devotees here participating in the meeting. Also, we see Indumuki Devidasi. Janardana Maharaj is going to hear soon. Indumuki Devidasi.
Buenos días a todos.
En
Sí,
Tijuana.
Gurudev, aquí estamos. Dandavat.
Okay. ¿Cómo está el chiquito?
Bien, Gurudev, también dormido como su Devi.
Okay.
Sí, muchas gracias. Dandavat a todos.
Dandavat. And Ramanuja Prabhu e Ishwari there in Alicante.
Dandavat,
Dandavat.
devotos presentes. ¿Cómo está, Maharaj?
Yes. Bien, Ramanuja. Aquí saludándolos a todos. Contento, very happy to see everyone. And saying hello to everyone, offering our obeisances. And also we have Narayan Castillo, Go Narayan Prabhu, and Nadia Rani there in Morelia, and Falgunesh Prabhu. Falgunesh, I think he's from, he must be in Tunja, huh? Falgunesh from Tunja, o Falgunesh from...
Dandavat Maharaj, sí señor, en el hospital San Rafael.
¿Están en el hospital? Falgunesh, are you at
Señor, de turno.
Yes.
Sí señor.
All right. He's a biologist, so they are working in the hospital, and since during the pandemic times, he has been there serving in the hospital. Sometimes he had attended and served some of the devotees who were admitted at the hospital because of coronavirus, because COVID-19, and he was there also with them. Falgunesh Prabhu. In Tunja, in Boyacá, that is Colombia, one of the departments or states of the Colombian Republic in South America. Lalita Sundari Devidasi and Dina Dayal Prabhu Dandavats. We received some message from them. Prafula Krishna Das.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Dandavats Adina Dayala Lalita Sundari, igual, same to Prafula Krishna Prabhu. And Balak, only that name appears like Balak. I don't know who is Balak. We know one boy, Balak, in Morelia, the son of Sundar Gopal and Anuradhika here in Mexico. I don't know which Balak is this, the present Balak we are seeing in the monitor. And also Tarmoyi Dasi, Tarmoyi Dandavat Pranams. To you and to Lakshmi Priya, your daughter, there in Guadalajara. Dandavats, Dandavats. Bueno, Rachel. Who is Raquel?
Dandavats, Gurudev.
We know one
Rasarani.
Rasarani, no Rasa Sundari, Rasarani. Rasarani, Dandavats, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
We are good here. Morning.
You are still keeping yourself in Chicago?
Yes, we are here in Chicago.
All right. How's the weather there?
Now it's getting cold.
Cold.
Yes.
But not inside the room. Inside the house is warm, huh?
Yes, you are very welcome too.
All right. Well, I hope we have already greet everyone and offer our obeisances. More than happy. Let me contact Janardhan Maharaj. Let me call Janardhan Maharaj and see what's happening with him.
Usted no tiene tiempo que perder.
Dandavats Maharaj.
Dandavats Kalachan. Kalachan, I was just calling to see well, it was Kalachan in Maharaj's room. It was Kalachan, and he says Maharaj is taking a bath and soon will be here with us. And Well, in the meantime, we have Sadhu Maharaj. No one else. No one else means Puri Maharaj or Srila Trivikram Maharaj. They have not joined there still, no? So, Praneshwari, what shall we do?
Dandavas Maharaj, just before you choose what we want to do you remember when Srila Acharya Dev was talking to a boy called Luciano in Argentina? Do you remember Luciano?
Luciano, yes, in Argentina.
Okay, Luciano is Lalit Krishnadas.
Okay, Lalit Krishnadas. All right, Lalit Krishna, Luciano. Yes, I remember about that. And I think, from whom you received the initiation on behalf of Srila Acharya Maharaj? From himself, he was here, or from Janar Maharaj, Lalit Krishna? Lalit Krishna, ¿de parte de quién recibió la iniciación?
Maharaj, de parte de Janardhan Maharaj.
Ok, Janardhan Maharaj le dio la iniciación a nombre de Srila Acharya Maharaj. Qué bien.
Es correcto, sí.
Luciano, bueno, pues habíamos escuchado, ¿no? De esa persona, de ese argentino que andaba por allá, solicitando esta misericordia, estas bendiciones. Qué bueno que ahora tenemos el gusto de conocerle.
Muchas gracias,
Nos da
Maharaj.
mucho gusto, Luciano.
Me siento muy bendecido de estar acá con todos los devotos.
Igualmente, Luciano. ¿Antes siempre ha estado ahí en Mendoza o antes estaba en alguna otra ciudad?
Siempre acá en Mendoza.
Siempre allá, ok. Bueno, sí. Muy bien. Pues esta es una reunión que hacemos precisamente todos los domingos en remembranza, en recuerdo de Srila Acharya Maharaj, ¿verdad? Porque muchos devotos, para todos nosotros fue una sorpresa, sinceramente, que su divina gracia haya partido tan pronto, especialmente así lo consideramos, ¿verdad? En un momento tan importante para su misión, para su servicio, ¿no? Para su vida de servicio, en fin. Y bueno, entonces los devotos, a fin de continuar con el recuerdo suyo, han solicitado que se continúen con estos encuentros, ¿no? Los domingos, para recordar a Srila Acharya Maharaj. Acostumbramos leer un poco los libros que tenemos afortunadamente de él por el trabajo que han hecho algunos de sus seguidores y hermanos espirituales, como Sadhu Maharaj y algunos devotos que lo han asistido a él, los devotos que han compilado los libros en el idioma inglés, ¿no? Originalmente, o incluso de sus pláticas en bengalí. ¿Cómo se llama la devota de Rusia?
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj, mi reverencia a sus pies y a los de todos los devotos. Kundalata Maharaj.
Kundalata. She knows Bengali, huh? Or no? Praneshwari,
Yo creo que Maharaj,
you know
yes,
Maharaj. Yes,
she was helping with the translations, Maharaj. And also Krishna in Turkey, Krishna Nendrani. She was also involved with books and translation.
Krishnendrani.
Yes.
From Turkey. Okay. Well, debido a ese trabajo, Luciano, es que tenemos afortunadamente y también muchas tapes, ¿no? En forma de audio, donde seguramente los devotos podrán obtener y podrán realizar, ¿verdad? Obtener información y así de esa manera imprimir más libros. Estos años que tuvimos, ¿verdad? La guía y la asociación de Srila Acharya Maharaj. Los libros en español se han editado bajo el título de Upadesh, que significa guía, instrucción espiritual. I was explaining, Luciano, Lalit Krishna Prabhu is that devotee which previously he has been living always there in Argentina. He's from Argentina, and was his initiation, and because it was very near the disappearance of Srila Acharya Maharaj, and he was already having that desire in his heart and connection, then Srila Janardhan Maharaj gave him his initiation on behalf of Srila Acharya Maharaj. And his name became Lalit Krishna Prabhu. And he's in one of the cities there in Argentina. Mendoza is the name of the city. And is near by the Andes, this great mountain cordillera. I don't know how do you say cordillera.
Sí, Maharaj. Cordillera de los Andes.
Sí.
Mountain range. Mountain range.
Mountain range. Mountain range called Los Andes, which goes away from South America to North America. Sube hasta Norteamérica eso, ¿verdad? No en forma con el nombre de los Andes, pero, ¿verdad? En diferentes países se le conoce con diferentes nombres. Acá en México, ¿verdad? Tenemos esta parte de la cordillera que viene desde el sur. No, teníamos pensado, a lo mejor ya andamos muy mal en
solamente Sudamérica.
Solamente en Sudamérica, ok. En Sudamérica no se extiende esta cordillera. Bueno, well, this is, and Luciano then became initiated finally and became Lalit Krishna Prabhu. And now for the first time we are seeing him, or maybe some other days, but not making this relationship as Praneshwari help us to do. No, that Luciano, before we knew him by his civil name, now he has become initiated and part of our Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Matth family, and he's being initiated as a disciple, formally initiated by Srila Acharya Maharaj. And Janardhan Maharaj was the one who gave him the initiation.
Okay.
Well, so shall we start reading?
If you want to start reading, yes, we are on page 87 in the book in English, Guidance 1.
Page 87. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnanam Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Puja Sri Guru Bhargavandita Mahabhavambitaya Sada Paurva Parya Parampara Prachalita Praja Pramurta Kriter Bhakter Nirmala Nirjarasya Nivritam Samrakshakam Sadaram Bande Sri Guru Devam Anatta Shira Acharya Varyam Nijam Gurva Vista Supurakam Guru Ganaira Sisya Sambhusitam Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Sri Rupa Pantanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Varamtanam Bhaktyam Vitam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Gurun Chadivya Bhagavat Premno Hivya Pralam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Vadanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Rutim Sri Siddhantanitim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Bandetam Subhadam Madeka Sharanam Nyasishwaram Sri Dharam Vanchakalpa Tarubhya Cha Kripa Sindhuvya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Nama. Andavas to all our God sisters and God brothers and their families. Well, just in a few moments more, Srila Janardhan Maharaj will arrive. Sadhu Maharaj also has had to participate much in this transcription of the books, editing, forming the books, translating them from English to Spanish. So if he wants, I will request him if he would like to read. Sadhu Maharaj, are you there?
¿Me llama a mí?
Sí, Sadhu Maharaj.
Sí, Maharaj, aquí estoy.
If you would like to read.
En Spanish.
Okay, in Spanish. Well, I also wanted to, if you would like to read in English.
It's better for someone in English speaking.
English speaking, okay. Okay, well, Praneshwari, can you read? Please.
Disentangled. Alpa bagye sevanahi hoy, koti janma takle bagya, vishaya se hoy vairagya. It takes more than just a little fortune to get service. Only after 10 million births of good fortune can one renounce this material world. Vrindavan Das Thakur writes this in his Chaitanya Mangal, later renamed as Chaitanya Bhagavat. Only after you have got 10 million lives of fortune can you come to the line of Krishna consciousness. It is not easy. It is not easy, but we have got this chance, and we must use the opportunity to serve, because even though we have got the chance, the illusory environment is always ready to remove us from this line. Illusory environment is very strong, so if we do not practice properly, if we do not serve properly, at any time we can lose our mind and leave this line. Be careful. Mayare Kariya Jai Chadana Nayai Sadhu Krishna Kripa Vina Na Dekyupai. It is not possible to conquer Maya by illusory environment, by engaging in Maya. But it is only possible to get relief by the mercy of Guru, Vaishnava. Be careful. Always be careful. Dina Jai Michakaja Nisha Nidrabashe Nahi Babi Marana Nikate Ake Ache Base. My days are passed in useless work and nights my days are passed in useless work and nights are wasted on sleeping. It never occurs to me that there is death sitting next to me. This is Kalyan Kalpataru 4.4 by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It is a very nice song. And another song is also Buliya Tomare Samsara Ashiya, Sharanagati 2. If you can recite and think about the meaning of the song, you will see how nice it is. Buliya Tomare Samsara Ashiya Peyenana Vidhavyata. Tomara Charane Ashiya Chiyami Baliva Dukera Kata. I have forgotten you, Prabhu. Now I have come to your lotus feet. I surrender to you and will tell you what my sadness is. Janani Jatare Chilama Yakana Vishama Vandana Pashi. When I was in the mother's womb, I got very much austerity. Ekavara Prabhu Dekadiya More Vanchile Edinadase. One time you showed me your form. I saw you in mother's womb, but now I cannot see you. Takane Bhavinu Janame Paya Kariva Bhajana Tava. At that time I thought and promised you that I would worship you. I would chant your name. Janame Haila Padimaya Jale Na Haila Gyana Lava. Then I was born, and Maya, the illusory environment, attacked me. I have become surrounded by the net of illusory environment, and now I cannot come out. Maya has bound in her net. Adarera chele swajanera kole hashiya katanukala. When I was a small boy, I sat on the lap of my relatives and everybody, my uncle, father, mother, and others, gave me so much affection. Janaka janani snehete buliya, samsara lagila bala. They gave me much affection, and I felt so nice that I could not come out. When your wife or your husband give you so much affection, you cannot come to this line. But when they kick you, then you can come. Is it correct or not? If they kick you, give you austerity, then you suffer so much and think, oh, it is not good. I have got to come out. When they give you much love and affection, you cannot come to this line in that life.
Okay. We end this, it's a brief chapter called Disentangled. Huh?
Desenredado.
Muy bien. Now, Sadhu Maharaj, can you read in Spanish? Sadhu Maharaj is there. ¿Está por ahí, Sadhu Maharaj?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. ¿Puedes ver el texto en español?
Sí. ¿Sí? ¿Quiere que lo lea?
Sí, por favor.
Ok. Dice, es el Upadesh 1, ¿no? Por Srila Bhaktivinoda Maharaj, el artículo desenredado del 6 de diciembre del 2010. Alpa Bhagya Sevanahinai Kotiyama Takle Bhagya Visaya Sei Hoye Vairagya. El significado: se necesita más que solo un poco de fortuna para obtener servicio. Solamente después de 10 millones de nacimientos de buena fortuna puede uno renunciar al mundo material. Vrindavan Das Thakur escribe esto en su Chaitanya Mangal, después renombrado como Chaitanya Bhagavat. Solamente después de que has obtenido 10 millones de vidas de fortuna, puedes venir a la línea de la conciencia de Krishna. No es fácil. No es fácil, pero hemos obtenido esta oportunidad y debemos usar tal oportunidad para servir. Porque aunque hemos obtenido tal oportunidad, el ambiente ilusorio siempre está listo para removernos de esta línea. El medio ambiente ilusorio es muy fuerte, así que si no practicamos apropiadamente, si no servimos apropiadamente, en cualquier momento podemos perder la cabeza y dejar esta línea. Sean cuidadosos. Mayare Korilla Joy Chadana Najaya Sadur Guru Kripa Vina Nadeki Upai. No es posible conquistar a Maya por medio del ambiente ilusorio o por ocuparnos en Maya, sino que solo es posible obtener alivio por la misericordia del Guru y el Vaishnava. Sean cuidadosos, siempre tengan cuidado. Dinayaya Michakaye Nisranidyavase Nahi Babimarana Nigate Achavase. Kalyan Kalpataru 4.4 por Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Mis días se pasan en trabajo inútil y las noches las desperdicio en dormir. Nunca se me ocurre que la muerte está sentada junto a mí. Esta es una canción muy bella y otra canción es también Buliya Tomare Samsare Asilla del Saranagati 2. Si pueden recitar y pensar en el significado de esta canción, verán cuán bella es. Buliya Tomare Samsare Asilla Pellenana Vidya Vyata Tomara Charane Asiachiami Bolilla Dukera Kata Boliva Dukera Kata. Te he olvidado, Prabhu. Ahora he venido a tus pies de loto. Me rindo a ti y te contaré cuál es mi tristeza. Janani Yatare Chilama Yakan Visama Bandana Pase. Cuando estaba en el vientre de mi madre, pasé mucha austeridad. Ekavar Prabhu, Dekan y Yamore, Panchile Edina Dase. Una vez me mostraste tu forma, te vi en el vientre de mi madre, pero ahora no puedo verte. Akana Babinu Yanama Paya, Kariba Vayana Taba. En ese momento pensé y te prometí que te adoraría, que cantaría tu nombre. Yanama Hoilo Podi Maya Yale, no Hoilo Yana Lava. Luego nací y Maya, el medio ambiente ilusorio, me atacó. Me he rodeado por la red del ambiente ilusorio y no puedo salir. Maya me ha atado en su red. Adarera Chele Sayanera Kole, Hasia Katanukala. Cuando era un niño pequeño me sentaba en el regazo de mis familiares y todos, mi tío, padre, madre y demás, me dieron tanto afecto. Janaka Yanani Snehete Bulilla Samsara Lagila Bolo. Me daban afecto y me sentía tan bien que no podía alejarme. Cuando su esposa o su esposo les da mucho afecto, no pueden llegar a esta línea, pero cuando los patean, entonces pueden venir. ¿Es esto correcto o no? Si los patean les dan austeridad, entonces sufren tanto y piensan, oh, esto no es bueno, tengo que alejarme. Cuando les dan mucho amor y afecto, no pueden llegar a esta línea en esa vida.
Muy bien. Este es de la... This is from chapter Disentangled, and from a talk from Srila Acharya Maharaj given on December 6th of 2010. That year when Srila Govinda Maharaj departed. Somebody would like to ask some question. In this chapter, Srila Acharya Maharaj is mentioning the content of some of the songs and the slokas. We have heard from Srila Gurudev that if all the Vaishnava books, were lost one way or other, and but still we could keep with us the Kirtan Guide, that book which summarizes many songs, or which has many songs of the Vaishnava poets, songs from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, songs from Narottam Das Thakur, from the different devotees in our disciplic succession, and also from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, etc., then we will not miss the essential part of the whole of the teachings of the Vaishnavas, because these songs are like the gist, the main essential points of the teachings we have been hearing since we joined the movement. These songs are very precious in that way, and they are very easy to access. Maybe a book or some philosophical debate or exposition, that may not be so easy for everyone to attend. Naturally, it depends of the expositor. We remember once one of the disciples of Sripad Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj he wrote a commentary one of his experience he had while hearing that from his own Guru Maharaj. Bhakti-Dayita Madhav Maharaj had a close connection with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And it happened, maybe we have already read that here, or someone has discussed that here. You may tell me. But at that time, he recalls that instance when in a preaching program there in India, there was some party formed by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, by at that time Sripad Bhakti Dayita Damodar Maharaj, Bhakti Dayita Madhav Maharaj. Maybe at that time he was not yet sannyasi, was a brahmachari, but well-known brahmachari in the mission of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And they were along with other two members of the Gaudiya Math. I cannot remember the names properly, but there were all, if not sannyasis, persons who were acquainted with the preaching. And they went to a preaching program where they were invited in a village, and they had a very good attendance. And the program was going to be held for 3 or 4 days. Then the very first day, one of the preachers, who was a very strong preacher, but his preaching was a little like heavy. I mean, means he was saying things which at some point people there in Bengal took it like a little offensive. He preached against Devananda. Oh, here we have Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj. Dandavad Srila Janardhan Maharaj. Maharaj, you have no sound.
Dandavad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj.
Maharaj, your mic is off.
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Okay. Dandavad, Maharaj.
Dandavad.
We were just reading. We started saying hello to the devotees and offer already our obeisances to our Guru Varga, and we start reading from a chapter called Disentangled.
Called what?
You have the book at hand, or can you put the title Disentangled, Desenredándose?
Okay.
Desenredado.
Desenredado.
You're reading volume 1?
Yes, volume 1, Maharaj.
So where is it?
Page 87.
Okay.
So it's a short, brief chapter, and there Srila Acharya Maharaj explains how it is not so easy to be outside from the illusory environment. And then, to explain the subject matter, he quotes some of the songs where the Jiva is describing his own position in Maya, and how when he was in the womb of his mother, he was praying to the Lord. But then after he came out, after the baby came out, then naturally he has to receive affection and love from his parents, from his relatives, from his family members. And then he forgets about the Lord. Then Maharaj concludes that it is sometimes easier for one to come to this line of Krishna consciousness if he got a little rejected from these family affairs or from these family relationships. But when somebody is treated with affection, it's very difficult. So we were starting to just to mention that how Srila Govinda Maharaj had explained that sometimes in his classes, in his books, or in the song book, we see that the substance, the essence of the scriptures are very well represented in the songs of the Vaishnava poets. And if that book only could maintain, if every other book it disappeared from the face of the earth, but we still kept intact our songbook, then we may have the essence of all the scriptures. And how easy it is for these songs are very accessible, because we were saying, because as we have heard, because it is they are expressed in a very simple way. Sometimes the philosophical subject matters or expositions or some of these ideas maybe not so easily related to the general public, but through the songs, then people can have a more easy access to the Siddhanta or the conclusions of the teachings of our guardians, like that. And then you came into the meeting.
Maharaj, Srila Maharaj.
Yes.
Una pregunta, Maharaj. Aquí, cuando, vaya, de lo que escuchamos ahorita, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, en este verso, dice, cuando era un niño pequeño me sentía en el regazo de mis familiares y todos, mi tío, padre y madre y demás, me dieron tanto afecto. Aquí se refiere a una familia materialista, ¿no? O sea, digamos, en el caso de una familia de devotos, no se aplica o se aplica de diferente manera esta
Es
idea.
igual. Es igual. Materialista o devocional es la misma cosa. Uno recibe afecto de sus padres cuando uno es joven. Y yo puedo decir una cosa parecida que los devotos pueden entender. Es que muchas veces cuando alguien nuevo viene a introducirse en la conciencia de Krishna, está con los devotos en un templo o en una comunidad. Y generalmente el sentimiento de los devotos es de darle refugio y al mismo tiempo darle algo de protección, de escuchar las quejas políticas y todo eso que normalmente ocurre en una comunidad o templo de devotos. Tratamos de aislar una persona nueva de estar metido en todos los problemas o todas las dificultades que puede surgir en cualquier comunidad, que sea devota o sea como materialista, como tú dices. Pero estamos tratando de proteger a las personas nuevas y crear el mejor medio ambiente para ellos. Cuando ellos ingresan al templo, estamos tratando de animar a la persona, darle como referencias de Sri Guru y de estar enseñándole en la conciencia de Krishna. En esa manera, le estamos tratando como de darle una protección. Pero y naturalmente, como hemos siempre visto y escuchado de Gurudev, es que después de tiempo, ese sentimiento de estar protegido, ese comienza a disolver un poquito, porque cuando la persona ya está más experimentada, ya no es tan nuevo, entonces comienza de escuchar de las chismas, de las dificultades y todo lo que ocurre en un templo, ¿no? So I was explaining that this sense that Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses, that when I was young, I got so much affection from my family, and they, we see that, whether devotee or non-devotee, that we see that the people are talking and acting in a very affectionate way with a young boy or young girl. Sometimes we see even persons we can see even normal adults who are, making a living and fighting in this material world. They'll talk to the baby with baby talk. Oh, hey, how are you? All this kind of way they have of speaking with babies. I mean, everybody does that. Everybody has seen that. And you give some special affection, some special attention to the young boy or young girl, your baby. They're playing with the baby and talking with the baby and like this. And similarly, in a temple, when somebody is new and everybody is showing special affection towards the new person, sitting with the person, preaching to the person, giving, trying to encourage the person. But naturally, and I remember this also went on in the Gurukuls. They had children in the Gurukuls, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he commented about that. He said sometimes it was done unknowingly, but in a wrong way, because he said the person was being isolated from the material world, and later, after some time,
recording stopped.
Oh, recording stopped. Okay, but after some time, the person would become exposed to the material world, because you can't isolate the person forever. So the people in Gurukul, I remember, they started to have interest in things that other children didn't have interest because they had already been exposed to them. And sometimes new the Gurukul children would have interest in things like hula, what do they call them? Hula hoops and all these kind of things that other people no longer had any interest in, but it was something new to them. So we tried to give some protection to new devotees, or they tried to give protection in Gurukul to the children. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he criticized that. He said that you're trying to artificially insulate or protect people, and it's not good because they have to have some exposure to what is this material world, or later, when they're exposed to this material world, they'll become very illusioned by the things that normal people have already experienced years ago. But in the case of devotees, I'll say that's not exactly the situation, in the sense we try to protect the person, but that protection naturally cannot continue forever. After some months or some time, the new person is going to become aware of the politics that are going on in a devotional community, or the differences of opinion, or become exposed to, different forms of Maya. Because I remember Srila Prabhupada said, there's no temple in the world where you're not going to find Maya in that temple. Nobody is completely insulated from Maya. But sometimes that insulation may be artificial. But so here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, in my childhood, everyone gave me affection. They all treated me in a special way. But then obviously later in life, someone gets married, someone has a family, and they become exposed to all the difficulties that there are in life. How someone has to really become involved in what they would call there's a saying in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, maybe somebody knows this Sanskrit. It says, one living entity lives by eating another living entity. And we have that in life. I mean, you can say, well, we're vegetarians. What does that got to do with it? You don't think carrots are alive? You don't think the vegetables that you're slicing up to put into a sabji, you don't think they're alive? It's true what the Bhagavatam says, is one living in this world, one living entity lives by eating another living entity. And obviously, you may be protected and devotees may be protected. And Acharya Maharaj here says that sometimes it's even fortunate when the person loses that protection, because then they're become a little bit disillusioned or lost a little taste for the enjoyments of this material world. Then maybe it's even more possible to help that person to understand that besides the problems of this material world, which you're suffering now, there's actually the life of devotional service, which is actually a big relief from this material world. So anyway, I mean, everything that's being stated here, you can experience, and you have experienced this yourself. And this is very much pertinent to understanding devotional service. And I know in the Ishopanishad, I don't remember the verse, but there's one verse that says that actually we're cultivating an understanding of Krishna consciousness, and along with an understanding, and we can even say a rejection of what is this material world. We're cultivating the two things together, understanding the beauty of devotional service, but also being familiar and not insulated with the difficulties of living in this world because we're living in this world. Anyway, I thought the explanation here in this chapter is very nice. And it also relates very much with Mahaprabhu's mission, because Mahaprabhu, he doesn't speak as the Supreme Lord himself. He speaks as a person, as I've said many times, as a person who's in this mundane world. He says, obviously, I've repeated, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patita mam vishame babambudo tava kripa para pankajas tita duli sadrisham vichintaya. That, oh my Lord, Nanda, oh, Ainanda
Tanuja kinkaram.
Huh?
Ajinanda tanuja kinkaram.
Yeah, Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patita mam vishame bhavambudo. Yes,
Recording in progress.
My dear Lord, my dear Krishna. Krishna is the son of Nanda Maharaj. Ainanda tanuja. Oh, my dear Krishna, please save me. Somehow or other, I've fallen into this ocean of material birth and death, and I cannot get out of this world by my own endeavor. You please lift me up out of this material whirlpool, and or material ocean, and you put me as an atom of dust at your lotus feet. So Mahaprabhu himself expresses the condition of us, conditioned souls. We're in this material world. We may live in a temple, we may live at home, we may live in the forest, we may live anywhere, but we are living in this material world with all the things that this material world has. And I'm constantly reminded of that. It's a question of, we say, repeated birth and death. I am amazed. I'm really amazed because at least in this community, so many, and I mean more than 10, of my close associates have passed away, have died, and none of them, I think none of them by COVID, just by cancer and other things, and almost with two exceptions, none of them reached the age of 70 years old. They all died, most of them all died when they were in 60-some years of age. Now that seems, even by material standards, that seems fairly young. I mean, to die when you're 60 years old or like that. So we are all reminded we are in this material world. And Srila Prabhupada used to say, don't think that this won't happen to you. When he was leaving this world, and suffering in this world, Prabhupada, before he left this world, he told the devotees when he was dying, do not think that this will not happen to you. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses it. Mahaprabhu himself expresses it. Mahaprabhu puts himself as a conditioned soul when he's saying, oh, Nanda Maharaj, I have fallen into this material world of birth and death. Mahaprabhu expresses that. All the acharyas express that in their songs, and obviously Acharya Maharaj is expressing that in this verse, in this chapter, Disentangled. And several times here, he says, be careful. And later on, be careful. In other words, he's giving some protection and some warning to his devotees. He's telling them, that these are Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's an eternally liberated soul. But he's expressing these things as if he were an ordinary person in this world. And our acharyas do that. They express that. But why are they expressing like that? Because, as Acharya Maharaj is saying, be careful. Be careful. Protect yourself as much as you can, take the association of devotees, engage yourselves in devotional service. This is really a very integral or very important part of our development as devotees, to be able to feel as Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our acharyas are expressing. Anyway, that is my kind of, I came here late. I'm not so well. And I have yet another program to do today, which is in the temple for some hours, but
Dandavas Bhakti Pavan Janarda Maharaj, Dandavas Srila Bhakti Kusumasra Maharaj, Dandavas a todos los Vaishnavas.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat. Kridai Krishna Prabhu, Dandavas. Ananta Govinda Prabhu, Dandavas.
Mi
Maharaj,
reverencia.
nice to see you.
Sila Janarda Maharaj. Mi reverencia.
Or Maharaj Prabhu, Dandavas. Bhagavan. Dandavas.
Puri Maharaj. Puri Maharaj.
Dime, Maharaj.
Envíame la dirección de Bimala para que yo le pueda mandar los documentos.
Oh, sí. Yo te lo envío ahora mismo, Maharaj.
Ok, gracias.
Con gusto.
Anyway, I don't know. I expressed something in Spanish and then I explained in English. Los devotos que hablan español, ellos podían entender algo de lo que dije en inglés.
Dandavat Maharaj, estábamos tratando de hacer la traducción en simultáneo, Maharaj. Pienso que igual si hay alguna duda, los devotos podrían preguntar, Maharaj. Mis reverencias.
Amolendu, where are you?
Dandavat. Please accept my humble obeisance. I'm in Moscow, in home.
Okay.
At home, at my home.
Dandavat. Are you well?
Okay, I'm well.
Okay. Yo puedo explicar algo en español, de lo que dije, que aquí hay varias expresiones de las canciones también de Bhaktivinoda Thakur, y él está hablando que al principio, cuando era un niño, que todo el mundo me dio mucho afecto, pero obviamente después uno comienza a experimentar lo que es este mundo material, con tantos problemas, riñas, dificultades, sufrimiento. Y Acharya Maharaj está explicando y está diciendo que uno tiene que ser consciente de cómo es este mundo material y cómo uno puede estar hasta desviado de la conciencia de Krishna, y que uno tiene que tener cuidado. Dice, ten cuidado varias veces. Y estoy relacionando eso con también cuando una persona ingresa en la conciencia de Krishna, tratamos de dar protección a esa persona, tratamos de darle afecto, protección, y que no conozca todas las políticas y maniobras que están incluso ocurriendo entre devotos. Pero con tiempo uno no puede hacer eso. Uno está expuesto a lo que ocurre en todos los aspectos de la vida. Y que hasta Chaitanya Mahaprabhu está expresando eso cuando él dice que mi querido Señor Krishna, de una manera u otra he caído en este mundo material, por favor levántame de esto océano y colócame como un átomo de 2 pies de loto. Y pues hasta el propio Señor se expresa como si fuera un alma condicionada, una persona en este mundo material, que está sufriendo en el mundo de muerte y como de vida y muerte repetidos, ¿no? De nacimiento y muerte repetidos. Y Acharya Maharaj también expresa, incluso si uno tiene como situaciones donde pierde el efecto de no sé quién, de su madre, de su padre o quien sea, eso hasta puede ayudar a la persona a desarrollar una visión mejor de lo que es este mundo material y lo que es el refugio que ofrece conciencia de Krishna o servicio devocional. Pues estoy resumiendo eso, pero como esa es la expresión de Acharya Maharaj expresando que yo recuerdo en el Srimad Bhagavatam hay una descripción que en este mundo un ser viviente vive por comer otro ser viviente. Todo lo que comemos está en ese plano. Y alguien puede decir, somos vegetarianos, pero no crees que zanahorias y otros legumbres, no crees que ellos no tienen vida. Uno está hasta involucrado en pecado por comer a otras entidades. Por eso Krishna dice que alguien que no ofrece su comida vive como devorando pecado, ¿no? Debemos ofrecer lo que comemos al Señor. Pero si podemos ver que literalmente que uno está viviendo a costo de otro, ¿qué decir de los aspectos, podemos decir a los aspectos sutiles de este mundo? Todos viven a costo de los demás en este mundo material. Así es. Solamente como Acharya Maharaj dice que si uno está hasta maltratado en este mundo material, uno puede decir que tiene una entrada en la devoción. Que hay un verso que dice, cuando Krishna especialmente favorece a uno, le quita todo. Le quita su riqueza, le quita todo. Y Srila Prabhupada expresaba que así pasó en mi vida. Que hubo un tiempo cuando yo tenía mucho éxito en mis negocios y todo eso. Pero después todo comenzaba a fallar. Y él dijo que esa era la misericordia especial del Señor que le dio eso. Y hasta su propia hermana, que nosotros llamamos Pishima, ¿cómo es? Bhavatarini, ¿cómo? Bhavatarini. Entonces ella dijo a Srila Prabhupada cuando él estaba pensando en volver como un sannyasi, ella dijo que mi querido hermano, si tú crees que tú no puedes entrar en sannyas porque estás protegiendo a su familia, ella dijo que tú puedes olvidar de eso porque tu protección de su familia, de tu familia ya no la estás haciendo tan bien. Porque todo comenzaba de decaer con Srila Prabhupada, sus negocios, sus entradas y todo.
Y Srila Prabhupada habla es precisamente este tema con Srila Guru Maharaj. Le dice Maharaj, ¿a qué se debe eso? Ahora que estoy tratando de hacer algún negocio para dejar a mi familia tranquila y yo irme a predicar, todo no me sale bien. Entonces Srila Govinda Maharaj se ríe y dice, pero ¿cómo iba a ser posible eso?
Cuando la gente venía a hacer negocios con Prabhupada, él los estaba predicando. Pasaba 5 horas diarias hablando con Guru Maharaj. ¿Qué negocio funciona así? Pero sin embargo, Srila Guru Maharaj le recita un verso del Srimad Bhagavatam, del 10º canto, donde dice que cuando yo le muestro mi misericordia especial a mi devoto, yo le retiro todas sus posesiones. En esa condición de desamparo, hasta los amigos, la familia, todos lo abandonan. Y él me ve solamente a mí como su refugio.
Pues ese es totalmente el punto. Eso es lo que Acharya Maharaj expresa aquí también. Él dice, cuando uno pierde como ese sentido de estar protegido, de estar recibiendo afecto, que las cosas van bien, esa es una misericordia especial. Porque eso le ayuda a uno de romper los lazos con Maya y de entrar más en la devoción. Y bueno, eso digo, es como un bebé o un devoto nuevo, lo tratamos de aislar con un sentimiento de afecto y de no conocer los problemas o incluso las mismas riñas que ocurren en cualquier familia.
Dandava Pranam Maharaj, también para informarle que se ha unido Sripad Bhakti Vijay Trivikram Maharaj. Dandava Maharaj.
Bhakti Vijay Trivikram Maharaj.
Dandavat Srila Janardana Maharaj, Srila Ashra Maharaj, Puri Maharaj, Sadhu Maharaj, todos los devotos, mis amigos, mis Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat Srila Trivikram Maharaj.
Srila Trivikram Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat.
Srila Janardhan Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Srila Janardhan Maharaj, if you can check the chat, there you have the verse you were mentioning about one living entity being the food of another living entity.
Yeah, okay, let me...
Srimad Bhagavatam 113:47.
See, the thing that I always heard the last line of this, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. Eso es lo que expresa que una entidad vive por comer otro. This verse, here is the verse that I mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hastani sahastanam apadani chatushparam Fauguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Those who don't have hands or arms are the prey of those that don't have. Here it says manos, pero en el verso es manos or brazos. Okay.
It's manos. You have it in English and below you have it in Spanish.
Okay. All right. Okay. Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another. That's the nature of this world. This is, you think you're going to make this an ideal world? Never going to happen. Los que carecen de manos son presa de los que tienen manos. Los que carecen de patas son presa de los cuadrúpedos.
Cuadrúpedos. Four-legged.
Okay, de los cuadrúpedos. Los débiles son la subsistencia de los fuertes. Y la regla general sostiene que un ser vivo es alimento para otro. Esa es la ley. Parece cruel, pero eso es como es este mundo. Nosotros podemos tratar de proteger a uno de eso. Alguien es nuevo, tratamos de protegerle de esa realidad, incluso de realidad política o social que puede existir en un templo. Pero ni modo. La cosa es que, y aquí Acharya Maharaj expresa, here Acharya Maharaj in this chapter is expressing that when this reality happens, when one really suffers in this world, then sometimes Krishna favors one by breaking one's attachment to this mundane world, this false sense of being protected in this world. Then one can take refuge of Krishna. And in the Prapana Jivanamrita, it says that one is able to take shelter of Krishna in one of two ways. First way is to understand that Krishna is my only shelter. And the second way, results the same, but the second way is to lose the shelter that one's previously had. And there's an example given of that, of Govinda Das Kaviraj. Originally, he was a devotee of Kali, and he worshipped Kali, but then he expressed that he wanted Kali to give him protection or liberation from this material world. And Kali Ma answered him that is not what I do. If you ask for some material benefit, like a good wife or riches or anything like that, I can give you that because I have some relation with the material energy. But if you want spiritual life or you want liberation from this material world, then you should go to Govinda. That is what he does. That is who he is. And then that sentiment is expressed in the song Bhajahure Mana by Govinda Das Kaviraj. Before, he was a devotee of Kali, and he prayed to Kali that she would give him liberation, she would give him spiritual life, and she said, I don't do that. That's not my province. If you want something mundane, I can give it to you. But if you want this, you go to Govinda. And he writes that. He wrote that. The whole song, Bhajahure Mana, is about that. Sita Atapa. And I could sing the song, but I can't quote it so much, Bhajahure Mana Shinanda Nandana Aboya Chanarnara Vindare. Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange Torah E Baba Sindure. That it is very hard to attain this human birth. And one should not lose that opportunity. Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange Torah E Baba Sindure. Sita Atapa Bata Varishana Edina Yamani Jagire. What's next?
Kamala Dala
Jala Jivana Talamala Bhajuhuna Haripara Nitire. That day and night I'm working very hard, when it's cold or when it's hot. Sita Atapa Bata. Day and night, heat, hot and cold, I'm working hard. And what am I working for? Bifali Sevino Kripana Durajana Chapala Sukha Labai Lagare. I'm serving those persons who are Kripanas. You've heard the word Kripa means mercy. And Kripana means someone who has no mercy. I'm serving materialistic people. Kripana Durajana, Jivana Talamala, Bhajahunari Para. I'm serving them day and night. For what? For just Chapala Sukha, just a little bit of flickering happiness. That I'm able to enjoy something for a few seconds and then it's back to the mundane difficulties of this world. Edani Yovana Putra Parijana Ite Kiachi Paratiti Re. Next. Edani Yovana Putra Parijana Ite Kiachi Paratiti Re. Then Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala. Vajuhun Haripara Nitire. He says, and all these so-called pleasures, Edana Yovanam, youth, Edana Yovanam, Putra Parijana, sons and daughters, Edana Yovana, Putra Parijana, Itekiachi Para Titire, Kamala Dalajala, no? It's all like just a drop of water that's on a lotus leaf. It's just sitting there for a few seconds, and then the lotus leaf, it will roll off that lotus leaf back into the water. Everything you're enjoying in this life, it'll last a few seconds, and then it will all go away. Everything, Edana Yovana, the pleasure you get from youth and family and everything, it's only going to last a few seconds. And then he concludes, and then Srila Prabhupada would say, so mind may say, you're telling me so many negative things. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Then what do you want me to do? And then Prabhupada says, yes, he says. What's the last verse? Tell me the beginning of the last verse.
Shravana Kirtanam.
Shravana Kirtanam. Shravana Kirtanam Smara Bandhanam. Shravana Kirtanam.
Smarana Bandhanam.
Yeah. Then he gives these 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing, chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, Smaranam, remembering, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, serving all these 9 processes, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshiping the Lord, chanting the Lord's glories, becoming a friend of the Lord, becoming a servant of the Lord, becoming a friend of the Lord, surrendering everything to the Lord. This is what Govinda Das expresses in the last verse. I can sing the whole song, but I can't sing it in parts so well. So, Itekiyachi para. Kamala Dala Jala, Jivana Talamala, Vajuhun Haripara, Nitire, Shavana Kirtanam, Smarana Bandhanam, Itekiyachi para Titire. Ada? Okay. I can't remember. My memory is failing me, but this is what is expressed by one of these 2 persons. First one understands that only taking shelter of the Lord, that's my only shelter in this world. And the second person, which I was citing Vajahuremana, is that if one loses what one considers to be one's shelter, in this case, Govinda Das, he took shelter of Kalima. But when he wanted to come to the perfection of life, Kalima told him, I can give you anything in this material world, but if you want something actually real, then you go to Govinda. He will give you. And then what is his name? What's the name of the song, Bhajahure Govinda Das Kaviraj. No longer Kalidas Kaviraj or whatever it was, but he became Govinda Das Kaviraj. So, I mean, this is here the nice expressions by Acharya Maharaj about losing one's taste for this material world and understanding what this material world is really about. And if you think, okay, I'm not going to be a crybaby. I'm not going to be a crybaby. I'm going to tolerate the conditions, the difficult conditions of this world. I won't complain about it. I'll just live those conditions, and this will be my life. And then we say, no, that won't work either. You know why? Because this world is temporary. You think you're going to make some adjustment to this material world, but you're not going to live that long. You're not going to live long enough to see your adjustment successful. Sooner or later, you'll be kicked out of this material world. because it's a world of birth and death. So you've had your birth. What's next on the menu? You sat down to eat a nice meal. You had your birth. What's next on the menu? Birth and death. So you may act like a stoic. You may act very renounced. I'm not going to cry about suffering in this world. No, you won't cry. You won't cry, but you won't live in this world very long anyway. So what's the difference? Better you make a real adjustment. Real adjustment is to take to devotion. Anyway, I came late. I don't know, maybe some persons, like whose initials are Trivikramars, maybe they came late also. But so I read this. I did not hear the chapter being read, but I read this chapter while Ashramars was explaining in this nice, very nice chapter. Nice expressions here. This is we can talk very high things about devotional service, but people don't always understand what we're talking about. If you express what's in this chapter to somebody, they'll understand. They'll understand. They'll have to nod their head and they'll have to say, yes, this is an accurate representation of what's going on in this material world. You can try and hide these things from your son and daughter, but you won't be successful. Sooner or later, maybe sooner, maybe at the age of 5 years old, they'll start to understand what's going on around them. Because the other children who are bigger than them, jivo jivasya jivanam, those bigger children will make them understand. Maybe you didn't experience that. But when I was young, I was in school. You either became somewhat of a little gangster or all the other children would beat the daylights out of you. You learned to fight because you had to survive. Jivo jivasya jivanam. You know, one living entity lives by eating another, and also figuratively this is happening. In business, in childhood, every aspect of life, one living entity lives by feeding on another one. When they do that in business, they say, oh, he's a very successful businessman. Yes, means learned to beat up on other people and cheat them. And that made him a very successful businessman. Isn't it? Someone else have a different opinion? Alguien me va a decir que no. Ser un negociante no significa golpear y engañar a los demás. Pues yo creo que sí, eso es lo que significa. I remember the devotees were buying necklaces in India which were red glass, little pieces of red glass, but they were all cut nicely. And they were on a necklace. And they would sell them sometimes expensively, and the people would say, is this coral? Was this coral? And the devotees would say, it's coralline. It is coralline. It's really glass, red glass. But devotees sold that, and people would say, is this coral? And they would say, no, it's coralline. Where the name coralline come from. You can los devotos que hablan español pueden entender. ¿Qué es un negociante? Un negociante, jivo jivasya jivanam. Él hace muy buen negocio por engañar a los demás. Eso es lo que le hace buen negociante. Hasta yo escuché Srila Prabhupada decir eso, que ser un buen negociante significa ser un engañador. Que siempre existe.
Srila, Srila Prabhupada decía, cuando tú vas donde un comerciante a comprar algo, y él dice, solo por tratarse de ti te voy a dar un buen precio. Ni me conoces, ni nos conocemos, pero dice, solo por tratarse de ti te voy a dar un buen precio.